You need to understand that your valuation decision have set the future of the company to be a different future. So it's probably the most strategic decision that is overlooked. The young founders are very happy with high valuations. It's great for the prestige of the company, but the morning later, it's a challenging. It will be a very challenging road from now on.
Hi folks, James here, and welcome to the Spyro Circle, this time in collaboration with Forbes Israel. A lot of companies are changing during this AI era, one of which is Akamai. You've probably heard of Akamai because it's been around since the 1990s, but recently its stock has skyrocketed as it secures new deals with companies like NVIDIA and allegedly Anthropic to apply new strategies and technologies in the AI era. I spoke to its Senior Vice President and General Manager of Enterprise Security, Ofer about some of the journey the company has taken. He joined a few years ago when Akamai acquired its first Israeli company, Guardicore. It's now acquired its fourth in just 5 years. So we spoke about the AI era, we spoke about the health of the Israeli ecosystem, especially in the space of cybersecurity. And then we also spoke about the impact of the strengthening shekel and how international companies and local teams are reacting. It was a very interesting conversation, and it really goes to show just how much change can take place through companies and industries and areas. I hope you enjoy. Ofer, thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, great to have you here with me in Tel Aviv and virtually away from Israel.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the benefit of something like this. You know, we can always connect and chat anywhere we are. I want to talk to you, please, a bit about Akamai and some of the things that are happening, not only in the company, but kind of in the industry, in the sector as a whole. There are some really exciting developments that are happening that maybe people aren't so familiar with. So I want to kind of start, please, if we could set the scene. And I want to give you the opportunity to kind of reframe what maybe people may know about Akamai and what you folks do, because you've been around for a couple of years, couple of decades, really, I guess, since the 90s. But what does Akamai look like in 2026, 30 years later?
Yeah, it's really exciting times at Akamai now. The company indeed was founded in the late 90s and to accelerate the internet and bring it to what we all know and feel today. But the development since then was dramatic by adding the cybersecurity layer on top of the internet acceleration and building a huge, vast network, which is probably the most distributed network on Earth, that brings the internet as close as possible to the end users, to me and you. I think Akamai runs today over 700 cities have Akamai infrastructure. So it really brings the compute close to the end user. And what it added on top of cybersecurity now with the surge of AI is also the ability to bring AI capabilities close to the end user. So that's what probably made the surge in the company public facing appearance in the past years. That basically once the AI development was mainly started in the centers, in the big data centers for the big AI factories, LLMs, now it's time for the AI inferencing. So which is, as Jensen from NVIDIA said, that will be bigger than the centers, because now you need to bring the inference of the AI model to the end user. And that will be, once you do it distributed, it is way more efficient and faster, and the response time is better. So if you want to dress me in the ski jacket that I want and put me in a ski resort, when I'm trying to buy it online, you better off do it close to where I am rather than in big data center somewhere overseas.
So at what point did Akamai realize that it was going to be changing and evolving in this time? And did it see AI as an opportunity or as a threat? So how did it approach this transformation?
Yeah, so it gradually started a few years back with acquisition of Linode and creation of the Akamai cloud, which is purpose made for the type of examples that I mentioned. So we acquired a company that we built and we invested heavily in developing it to a global cloud infrastructure that can serve both the central computing, but also, of course, bringing it to the edge, where Akamai is probably best positioned among the other players. So it wasn't a decision that was made a year ago opportunistically, but it was an evolution of the past few years. And I think what NVIDIA and the rest saw it, we launched the AI inferencing together with NVIDIA, realized that to bring AI close to the end user, you have to have a distributed network of somebody like Akamai.
Okay, wonderful. You led me into it, so I just want to fill in some of those gaps so the viewers and listeners are up to date with what we're talking about today. Akamai's stock has surged dramatically over the last couple of, maybe, I guess, month or so, and remained so over the last couple of days at least, because investors are seeing it as a fairly serious AI infrastructure player. Correct me if I'm wrong in any of this information, but there was reported a 1.8 billion AI infrastructure deal kind of tied to Anthropic. Also, very recently, you have a partnership with NVIDIA to secure some of these AI factories with Guardicore and on Bluefield. So moves are being made, and the stock is responding accordingly.
Yeah. So first, I cannot comment on who is the LLM vendor that we work with, but we did sign the largest deal in Akamai history on the AI side a few weeks back, and I have no influence or anything to comment on the share price, but we did also announce the continuation of our partnership with NVIDIA only recently on the security side. We actually started to work with NVIDIA a few years back on this concept of securing workloads, and mainly OT workloads that you cannot really put software agent on them, or AI factories that are servers which are huge, can be 20,000 cores machines that you want to secure on one hand, but you cannot really secure it in the way that we secure regular workloads by putting an agent on them and controlling all the communication in and out. So with NVIDIA, we could have put the controls on the DPU, on the unit that actually in charge of the communication to back and forth from those servers. And this corporation started years ago, and now it comes to the next generation of Bluefield, which is the NVIDIA chip, and our new software on the Guardicore side. So we are kind of now able to secure the AI factories machines with using the NVIDIA chip. And that was the announcement that was recently made together. So we are working with them both on the compute side, but also on the cybersecurity side to secure those AI factories and not just to be the infrastructure of those factories.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So exciting developments all round across many different areas of this kind of ever-changing landscape that we all seem to be trying to catch our breath in. I want to ask a few deeper questions, please, because we're talking quite big picture, but I want us to dive into a bit more of the technical aspect of things because it's very interesting. I want to understand why AI needs this kind of distributed infrastructure, but also what happens when some of these inferences move to the edge. talk us through about some of the the technical things that you're seeing through maybe some of these things and the developments that are taking place. Like, for those who are unfamiliar with the details, what can you tell us?
Yeah, so basically in every decision that should be made fast and for sure if it consumes resources like building a video file or something or real time anything that is you want to have close to real time, like in commerce decisions. If you will not bring me the result fast, my competitor might run a pop-up on my screen and suggest a better price or a better product, and my decision will be either stalled or moved to the competition. So the retailers, for us, as an example, in that case, would love to have the compute decision made as fast and as efficient as possible, fast, clear, not to allow any interference with the decision making of the buyer, and efficient because you need to have a lot of investment until a purchase is done. So if I'm buying this ski jacket, then the price that the retailer can make is few dollars, and then if he needs to have to spend a lot of money on transportation of the traffic from a center overseas into the hometown of the buyer, his business model will be skewed. So we want to make the compute decision as close and as efficient as possible. And for that, you need a distributed computing. A big data center in a central location might not be efficient in that case. So Akamai, as I said, running over 700 countries, over 4,000 locations. So statistically, there is an Akamai server closer than any other vendor out there. And now, if the decision is now required to bring AI inferencing, then of course you need to put AI inferencing infrastructure close to the user.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And I want to double tap on something you mentioned at the start of our call. You mentioned it was the world's largest network, which I don't doubt based on some of the figures that you just mentioned now and some of the numbers that you were throwing around. From your vantage point, from Akamai's vantage point, what does it mean? What does the internet look like? And what does that mean when you are the world's largest network? And how does that change in the AI era?
Yeah, so first, AI changes a lot of things. Akamai has always had the capability to deliver internet fast and efficient, and most importantly, in a reliable way, close to the end user. So if you're running a big media event that you'll have hundreds of millions of users in real time, you'll most likely use Akamai because you will have the reliability and the speed the performance that you need. And with AI, we can see that the compute demand and for instance, the interest in a video composition or art composition that you can all feel and experience in whatever AI software that you use, it just accelerates the need for more speed, and as I said, to bring it close to the user. On the security side, it brings us huge amount of data to understand what's going on now at this point of time in the world. Who are the malicious sites? Which sites are getting now hacked and getting now overtaken by adversaries? And then we can bring this knowledge immediately to the large community of customers that we have, and it's called the DNS. So we can say which addresses are now malicious at this point of time, because we have this huge network and cooperation with partners that brings us this vast amount of data that we are processing constantly, and say, okay, at this point of time of the day, this website is now malicious. So if your employees are trying to get are attempted by a phishing attack to go to that website, don't.
Wow. It sounds like the whole thing is changing, and it sounds like the whole I was going to say playground, but the kind of whole ecosystem where all of these companies and providers operate is going to change. I want to talk. We've mentioned it now a few times. We've skirted around it, but I want to kind of focus us a bit more. We've spoken about the cybersecurity aspect of the internet and being an infrastructure player in that space. Of course, Israel cybersecurity main hub here for all of that. And you folks at Akamai are quite keen on that, right? Israeli cybersecurity. You just announced about a month ago the acquisition of Layer X. It was your fourth acquisition in 5 years. And I think you joined Akamai from an acquisition itself, from the first acquisition. Why does Akamai keep returning to Israel? And what is Israel offering the world or the cybersecurity space that Akamai seems to be so attracted to?
Yeah, so Israel was and is one of the two major hubs for cybersecurity talent in the world. The other one is, of course, the US, in the West Coast. But most of the investment this year, for instance, or even a bit higher than the US rate, will go now to Israel. And the reason for that is that there is concentration of talent, that the startup ecosystem and the startup mindset in the Israeli ecosystem keep brings more and more talent that are going into international companies with acquisition, and then sometimes they leave and build new companies because they see the challenges. They get access to the market, get access to the challenges of the largest companies in the world. They understand usually the adversaries very well, and they take this experience and build the new technologies that the market needs. And since cybersecurity is a highly fragmented market compared to other markets, because there are so many attack techniques, and now with AI you have a surge of different ways to penetrate to an organization. You need to have different type of technologies to be ahead of the curve, or at least to keep up with the pace of the attackers. So you need to be very, very fast, very, very agile, and that really works well with the Israeli culture. And what Akamai saw is that the acquisitions in the Israeli market are paying off. So the companies that were acquired continue to grow, continue to innovate, and the good experience brings the company to a notion of okay, we can do more of that. So we saw that our acquisitions are successful, so we can acquire more and bring more and more talent from the Israeli ecosystem. And the ecosystem here, it's a bit simpler than the US, for instance. It's a little bit like the Valley. It's all concentrated around the buildings here. In the, let's say, 2 miles around our office, the offices of Akamai, you will find major part of the cybersecurity industry, from the big players like Palo Alto, Checkpoint, CrowdStrike, to small startups, and they all are here in this area. So it's very easy to get talent, and it's also a good ecosystem to be in and exchange information and build the most innovative cybersecurity products. So when we acquired, when we didn't announce the acquisition, I announced the intent to acquire. There are some regulatory things that should happen in the coming weeks, but it should be closed very soon. But when we looked at which companies will help us on the web security or workforce security, we checked, I think, 7 or 8 companies, and eventually the company that we acquired is sitting in the building right down the street, 5 minutes from our office. So eventually, and they got the highest scores in our evaluation process, and they were the best technology. We looked at European companies, American companies, Israeli companies, and so eventually you have good concentration of talent and the good companies to work with.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I'm going to ask you a bit of an abstract question now, because I think the idea that Israel produces great startups in specific industries like cyber, let's stay on cyber for the sake of the conversation, but there are many other sectors that get scooped up by larger corporations. Is that a sign of a healthy ecosystem, or is it telling us something that maybe Israeli companies can't scale or grow into independent giants? I mean, the big outlier was Wiz, up until it also got acquired, right, in a historic fashion and fantastically and amazingly. But what does it say about the health of the ecosystem that large companies, large corporations from out of Israel are coming in? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Also, the acquisition of CyberArk was also a big change from independent Israeli company. It is now part of Palo Alto. I used to be more on the side of hey, we need to build more big Israeli companies that are headquarters in Israel. Now that I work in Akamai for the 5th year, and I see the value of the good combination of companies that have American roots and American headquarters, but they know how to give the Israeli talent enough space to come and innovate and bring the best technology and the best products, and allow the local team to innovate and to take decisions and to bring the product forward. I think it's not a bad combination. It's even a good way to get to the market and to shortcut several years of build up of a go-to-market organization in the US, which in a fast-moving industry like the cyber security one, sometimes to the years that it takes you to build that international infrastructure that you can gain immediately out of the box with international companies like Akamai, sometimes you say, okay, I can get much faster to the market, to a much broader customer install base. And yes, I'm paying with that there is a US headquarter, but I can benefit from that. So I don't think that it's bad. I think that it's a good combination of Israeli product talent with American execution and go-to-market capabilities, and I don't think that it's a bad move for the industry. I think the right thing is combination. We should have checkpoints. It's okay. So we need to have companies that are headquarters in Israel, but it's not a bad idea for a startup to be acquired and continue to grow and to get the technology out to the market with American headquarters.
Yeah, no, it's something that I kind of go back and forth on as well in my own personal kind of view on the whole thing, because I would love to see more checkpoints, or I'd love to see more nice companies. Nice meaning the name of the company, not the description. But then it's true. I mean, it's what's the success? What determines the success of a company? Is it to serve customers in markets around the world, in which case an acquisition would be the best way, or is it to grow and be a blue and white company?
Yeah, I think on that point, what happened in the market is that if you look at the market 7 years back, you wouldn't usually find management teams of startups in Israel. So it used to be, okay, you have a good idea, great, jump on a plane, take all your key headquarters, live in Israel, just the VP R&D, and just move all the management team to the Valley or to the East Coast and run the company from there. And that changed, and that's the interesting thing. So now the interesting thing now in the startup environments in Israel is that you can run the company, you can build the headquarters or many functions of the headquarters in Israel and have it in Israel and run the company from here. Yes, you have some people that will be on the management team in the US, in the East or the West Coast, but or in Dallas, but you will have some of the team and main function which are not just the head of R&D in Israel. And that's the Wiz as an example. You gave that example. So Wiz ran the company from Israel. Same with Guardicore that was acquired by Akamai. And that's why the way I got to Akamai, the headquarters was here in Tel Aviv. We had key executives in the US, but the headquarters was in Tel Aviv. And that's the change that happened something just pre-COVID, that mainly investors realize that they don't need to push the founders and the management team to relocate in order to succeed.
Are we entering a consolidation period or era in these cybersecurity companies? Because so many of them, and I've just seen it part of my work, but also just passively when I read the news, so many of them are merging or getting acquired. Is this the kind of, what era, does this say anything about what era we're in? Or am I just kind of looking a bit into it too much?
It's a $1 million or $1 billion question. So I'm in the industry, in the cyber industry for a while now. And when I was in the industry, I think 15 years ago, we had at one of the executive meeting, we had the map of all the startups in cybersecurity, and we said, whoa, so fragmented, and we can consolidate that into few platform players. And this market, and we said it 15 years ago, will be just few players in the near future. And it didn't happen because of what I said earlier, that there are so many new techniques, and you need to build purpose-made companies to protect different sides. I do believe that the consolidation will happen, and it started to happen into platforms. So if you look at the big players, Palo Alto, CrowdStrike, Akamai is also one of them. We are building platform and consolidating a lot of point solutions or products that translate into solutions into platforms. And because eventually CISO today that need to handle 50 to 80 vendors, which is insane, some of them startups, some of them mid-sized companies, some of them large companies, it's unmanageable. And he need to move fast. So the notion now in the market that I hear from CISO saying, okay, I don't have to have the best of the best in each and every point solution. I can have a 9 solution or not a 10 solution and still be okay, and that will ease my operational overhead of managing so many small point solutions. So Akamai is now consolidating the product into platform, the Zero Trust platform that I run, the App Security is the main platform that runs on the Akamai infrastructure of web application firewall, all the application security, and those platforms are the platforms that makes the life of the CISO simpler. So you can you can get the best solution, but you don't have now to shop around with 5 vendors. You can work with one.
Yeah, that also speaks on something else that I've spoken on in this show, which is about the moat that companies need to build around themselves to protect from other companies, bigger companies or different companies that may kind of eat up their, when the whole company's kind of reason to be is one product or service that can be applied within a different company. Companies need to be more aware on how to protect themselves from that.
Yeah, I think the moat is emerging. So it used to be purely technical, and now there's also a resilience mode. So you see that you say, okay, if my network is down, I'm losing millions of dollars per hour. So I don't really care about whether this product costs a little bit more or it's provide me a little bit more if this product will make my network fail. So the moat is becoming now also the resilience, where Akamai is usually probably the best name in the industry on resiliency and reliability. So you have a reliability mode, you have technological mode of technologies that AI cannot replace because it has very deep roots in a platform. You need to have platform, you need to have servers, you need to have different type of things. So the mode is shaping now into a different mode than we used to know 10 years back. And I think that companies with moats, and Akamai is considered as a company with a moat due to the huge network that we have and the reliability that you don't want to compromise. So companies with a moat will continue to grow and be preferred by customers. That's my belief.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's really interesting. Thank you. I want to touch on something that you mentioned ahead of this call, before we connected today. You mentioned that you were wary or getting becoming aware of what you described as the poison pill of high valuations, and I loved that expression. I loved that name that you used. Talk us through that. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so I used to be also in the startup side, so I know the two sides of the coins, and I know the VCs, the venture capital, quite well. And now I sit in a big corporation that also acquires companies, so I can see the picture from the three sides: the entrepreneur side, the startup side, the investment side, and the potential acquirer side. And what I see now when we are constantly evaluating companies, so we acquired now one, but we constantly look at more acquisitions, is that there are prices that you need to understand the industry and what the potential buyers can pay, and you cannot set too high expectations that are not realistic or statistically are not viable. So cybersecurity, if you look at the balance sheet of companies, so you can say Akamai is making X amount of cash per year, and Palo Alto is making Y, etc. You can today go to Gemini or any AI tool and say, show me the past 20 acquisition in cybersecurity done by CrowdStrike or by Palo or by Akamai. And you can see what the industry is all about. Yes, there's always outliers. Wiz is outlier. There are less than 5 companies that can do constant acquisition of over $1 billion. But most of the acquisition in cybersecurity industry, which is fragmented market, are limited to hundreds of millions of dollars usually. And now, when you are now setting inflated expectation by raising money with $1 billion valuation or $600 million valuation or anything like that for a company that is making millions of dollars of ARR or even 10, 20 million of dollars ARR, you're putting yourself out of the acquisition market, at least for most of the players. Yes, there are players that can pay more, but it's so rare and so unpredictable that you are that the day after your press release on the round with high valuation, etc., that everybody celebrates, you wake up the morning later and you are stuck because either you said, okay, so I'm going all the way to IPO, very, very tough road, becomes tougher and tougher every year, very, very scared. Or you said, okay, there are only very few buyers to my company, or I will just continue to run as an independent company, which is great. But you need to understand that your valuation decision have set the future of the company to be a different future. So it's probably the most strategic decision that is overlooked. Because the young founders are very happy with high valuations. It's great for the prestige of the company, but the morning later, it's a challenging. It will be a very challenging road from now on. Sometimes it will be successful, but the statistics of the potential avenues of the companies is becoming much tougher.
Yeah, talk about a come down after a high the day before. Is that what founders want, though? Do they want? Because you were framing it as a way of like, well, if they're high valuation, then it's going to be harder to be acquired by the pool of acquirers reduces, which makes complete sense. What is it that founders now want? Do they want to be acquired? Do they want to feed into this consolidation process, or do they want to go for that IPO, as you mentioned? What do you think the mindset is?
I think that look at the statistics. Eventually, most of the cybersecurity companies, the successful ones, were acquired by somebody. Sometimes it's private equity, and that can be a bigger acquisition, but the private equity is doing it to resell it in a higher price or to IPO it eventually. Right? but most of it is going to one of the existing platform players in the market. And if you are a founder of a startup, probably you have this in the back of your mind that this is probably the right avenue. Now, you might say completely different story to investors and to employees, but in the back of your mind, you know that the statistics is such that if you will be successful, if your journey will be successful, you'll have the right product market fit, and you'll have the right go-to-market organization, and you'll be successful, and customers will love the product, and etc. So a likely avenue is a likely a journey is to be acquired. Now, if you ignore that, it's another problem. But you can aim to build a big company, independent, and continue as an independent company, public, yes or no. But you can do it, and it's a great aspiration and great journey, and really it will be highly admired. However, you need to be also realistic and say, I cannot really kill all the other avenue because I have responsibility to my investors, to the employees that trust me, to my management team, etc. So you need to be on one hand to have the right aspiration and to go all in. On the other hand, you need to have in the back of your mind another plan B, plan C, and I think that you need to balance it well, and not just go all in on one direction and find yourself eventually with nothing.
No, definitely. I think that's a wise kind of tightrope that people probably need to walk as they enter this kind of space. I do want to touch on the final kind of part and segment of our discussion today, which I think kind of encompasses a bit of everything of what we've discussed, because we've been speaking about international corporations and their eyes on Startup Nation. We've been talking about the Israeli tech ecosystem and the health there. Now, of course, when those two worlds mesh, you have different currencies and you have different payments and different valuations and funding. And one of the things that's been kind of talk of the town at the moment, at least here, is the unbelievable strength of the shekel against the dollar, rates that haven't been seen in decades. But it's kind of like a victim of its own success, because there's consequences to maybe companies that are paying employees in dollars that get converted, or in valuations. What can you tell me a bit about what's happening inside the Israeli tech labor market, and some of the reverberations that may be coming from some of this market behavior?
Yeah, so we have two headwinds now in the market, and there was just yesterday a meeting of the Treasury and the Israel Innovation Arm and the Economic Ministry of Economic, together with the high-tech industries, to try and tackle those headwinds. There is one headwind, which is AI. So junior employees feel themselves as very tough to find a job, and you have risks by the large corporations. From most of the large corporations did the reduction in force recently due to AI and the need to shift resources and priorities. So that's one headwind. But the other headwind, which is unique to Israel, in some extent also to Europe, is the rise of the local currency compared to the dollars, which makes Israeli employees more expensive than they used to be a year ago. And again, it happens to a lesser extent in the European market as well. We have also employees in Europe, so we are aware of that. And it is indeed a headwind and a challenge for the local industry. And my main concern is that you will see slow drift of positions to other locations. So the reduction in force are hitting the news, but the slow drift won't hit the news. And that's basically daily decision of, okay, I have X amount of a budget to spend in dollars. I can hire 2 or 5 people in India, or X amount of people in Europe, or Y amount in Israel, and now the balance is changing. So instead of having more position in the expensive places, I might say, okay, I get talent in less expensive places and get more developers for the budget. So those decisions that are done daily on every international corporation, those are the decisions that the strong shekel will cause. That it will be a slow drift of position. Yes, the top talent will have to be in the Israeli market in cybersecurity. It has huge benefit of speed and knowledge and ability to execute and agility, but some of the position will shift to other places, and that's a problem that the government here need to address. It's not something that the local companies can do much about, but the government will need to intervene and to find solutions for that, both for the startups and for international companies like us, like Akamai in Israel.
Yeah, I saw that actually just yesterday. Well, not yesterday, probably for those who are watching now, but in time of recording, fairly recently, there was a study from the Israel Innovation Authority that outlines the two chokeholds that you literally just mentioned: the rise in AI as a utility for companies, but also the strength of the shekel, and it actually steering attention away from Israel towards, as you mentioned, India or Eastern Europe or other regions. So quite big challenges to come.
Yeah, but by the way, I can see also a benefit in that on two aspects. One, the startups will have more talent, so the market will have. There's huge competition on talent in the Israeli market. So the startup, you will be able to build more startup, to staff more startup from the people that won't have a job or will be tough to find one. But on the other hand, you will have also. I think that what we will see is a little bit more sensible ask for compensation by the new employees that will understand that they cannot really get exactly what they got a year ago when the shekel dollar ratio was different, and there will be some sensibility here, and also my management team already realized that they might need to go and hire less experienced employees that will be same ratio, same budget in US dollar like a year ago, but you will get less experienced employee. But on the other hand, it might be a AI native junior guys that born into AI, and you can get benefit from that. So I think there will be a different balance on the mix of new employees that will balance this rise of the shekel versus the dollar.
Ofer, that takes us right to a perfect opportunity to summarize all of this. And I hate to ask guests to predict the future because it's a famously difficult game. But given everything we've spoken about today with AI and the strength of the shekel, but also the health of the ecosystem here in Israel, what do you see Akamai and the industry? Where do you see that going in the next couple of years? What do you think this next era is going to become, or what do you think is going to define it?
Yeah, so the AI is redefining everything. You don't need me to say that. But in cybersecurity, where Akamai Israel's main focus is, the AI is also a big game changer. On one hand, the attackers have now huge amount of tools and velocity to get into the organization and penetrate, and we need to be able to cope up with the speed in real time or near real time to protect and to create the moat in the customer side that the attacker will not be able to get to the crown jewels of the organization. And this is something that we are doing out of Israel with Guardicore, with segmentation, and with other tools. We will need to protect the workforce from the risk that the AI is adding to their stack. So if I'm now running Claude and Gemini and different tools an OpenClaw on my laptop, is no longer the same laptop. It's not. I'm not controlling everything that I controlled when I did everything. Now the AI can do things that I didn't predict, and I didn't anticipate, and I didn't meant to do. And even if I'm the best corporate guy, and I don't want to breach anything, I might find that my one of my AI tools is uploading files or doing something that shouldn't happen. And we need also to protect that side. So there is disruption in each and every point of the cybersecurity stack. There are disruption. So you need to do things differently. Both the companies like Akamai are innovating in that and investing heavily in that, but also other companies in the ecosystem in Israel are investing heavily in cybersecurity for AI. And on the flip side, we are leveraging AI heavily to make our products way better for the end user. So we have products that we can expedite the journey from deployment to successful prevention by 10x by using AI on our side, on the product side. So we are investing both on using AI to make the products better and using technologies to protect from the use of AI by the attackers on one hand and by the employees on the other hand. So it's exciting times, huge innovation. Every other day you can see a new thing that you need to react to, and we are trying to be ahead of the curve. And the ecosystem in Israel is now shifting towards AI first approach in everything, and it's exciting. I think that the market is changing very, very fast, and one of the good things that the Israeli market know how to do is to be very, very fast in changing priorities and changing technologies and learning new stuff. And yes, the center of AI globally is in the Valley, but we have now AI companies, AI infrastructure, AI chip manufacturing, AI data technologies, and AI cybersecurity is out of Israel, and it's exciting day.
Well, it sounds very exciting, and I can't wait to see companies 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. that Akamai chooses to scoop up from the talent that's being developed here coming out of Israel. We are running out of time, unfortunately, but I do want to end with an opportunity to invite you to share the best ways that people can get in touch with you or follow you or catch all the news and updates that you folks are up to. What is the best way for people who are watching or listening to this today to keep up to date?
Yeah, so we have the Akamai.com. We have the Akamai on LinkedIn, which is usually very informative. We are posting blogs and thought leaderships often there. So LinkedIn is probably a very good way to get in touch with us. We are, and believe it or not, we are hiring. So yes, there is reduction in many places, but we do look for talent constantly in the market, and we will be very happy to get in touch with talents.
Wonderful. That's great. Thank you so much. I'll make sure to put all of those links at the bottom and make sure people can follow and keep up to date and maybe even apply and become the latest member of the Akamai team. Ofer, thank you so much for your time and insights today. It was super interesting. I can't wait to see how it all goes from here.